that made me laugh. Today is Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. If you were wondering what that noise was, that was Frank Trigg. He's in studio today with us, just like old times.
Twinkle Toes Frank Trigg in the house.
Yep. And we got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about, mostly about one subject, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And I want you guys, along with myself, I did this yesterday, and it's either going to come off spectacular or a big waste of time, like most of the things we do. But I really want to dive into the press conference that took place yesterday.
Okay.
Because
this is the part where you say, I didn't see it.
Right.
Get that out of the way.
I was expecting more, and like I have the belief that if you drove, and dealt with LA traffic and paid for parking and showed up and waited for these guys in the grand entrances to hear that, you'd be like, I can catch that on YouTube. You know what I mean? But I guess there's people out there that just dig that. So I don't know if we're callous to it, immune to it, or we just don't rise to the occasion until they say, hey, the fight's about to start. And then all of a sudden we sit down and get excited. But I don't know. To me, it under-delivered.
Well, here's the other thing, George. On top of having to cover that, we do have a couple guests. But we have to get, and I want to talk to Trigg specifically about this, Hall of Fame. We were there.
Yeah,
we got to talk about it.
We do.
And Trigg's a member of it.
Yeah, we got to talk about our Thursday night during International Fight Week. We did go to the Hall of Fame ceremony, and I loved it, man. I'm glad I went, and I plan on going. Going forward. I think it started out a little bit rough, but now with that theater setting, and I think more of a presentation, more of a ceremony. I think it's gonna start to close the gap on all the other Hall of Fames for all the other sports.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Well, start to close the gap. There's a gap there.
If me and Usain Bolt race, I'm closing the gap, but
no, you're not closing the gap.
You're not getting anywhere close.
You're not closing the gap. If he's standing still at the finish line, you're closing the gap. But I mean, look, we've only seen the NFL one on TV. We've never been there, to be fair. Sometimes they'll shoot out in the crowd, and there's some Bud Lights out there, and some jean shorts.
It's definitely different.
But yeah, it is. And the WWE, I love how they all come together, and a lot of them suit up. And but you know what I love about the WWE one, especially, is all those superstars that stand up and clap. But not just because this is what we're supposed to do, just because they mean it, man. Because they've been out there spilling, blood with the others, and know what a hard road it is and the sacrifices that are made. So I like that camaraderie. And I think MMA can get to that one as well. The pro football one is different because it's the biggest sport in the United States. The resources they've had, and it's massive. It's got a massive following. We get into that in a second.
Hi, Mike Bohn.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Ghost. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'!
Frank Trigg, that's Mike Bohn. Mike Bohn, that's Frank Trigg.
Yeah.
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Ghost.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Ghost. Ari's co-host, back east, handling all the producing duties. It's going to be Danny. And, of course, we did it again. We got another panel. about that goes?
I like it.
Our specialty is the in-studio guests, and this week we've come strong. Both seats occupied. Ocupado. Starting on the far right, Mike Bohn, young Mike Bohn, who, by the way, man, is getting jacked, right?
Yeah.
Walks into the studio, and I was like, is that a fighter? And all of a sudden, he came out of the shadows. It's young Mike Bohn, growing up before our eyes. What's up, Mike? Good to have you.
Good to be here.
All right. Frank Twinkle Toes Trigg, back in the house, UFC Hall of Famer, UFC title contender, Icon World Champion, WFA World Champion, Shooto World Champion, former Pride color commentator, former Access TV, well, at the time it was HDNet color commentator, a man who wore many hats. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Former Tag Radio co-host.
Yeah.
Forgot that one.
The most important one. Good job.
Yeah.
Again, the one thing that actually counts. Thank you.
Yeah. No, good to have you back, sir.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah. What you drinking there?
Bloody Mary.
I thought the rule was when one goes up, the rest are part. Like, where's mine is what I'm asking, I guess.
I would have got it for you, but you guys didn't restock the coffee, so you get nothing now.
Goes didn't restock the coffee. How does that leave me out of the equation?
Who's Goes' boss? There you go.
Well, that's outside the show.
Trickles down. Trickles down, son.
Look at Dan Stupp in the house, too. It's a USA Today summit that we have here in town, and he's over there either hopefully pushing our raises through, or maybe he's letting one of us go. I don't know. It's scary times here. No, I'm just kidding. The suits are in the house. You see that? There's a summit there going on. That's a pre-summit, I think.
So I walk in, and I go right to the drawer to grab the coffee cup, the K-cup, whatever the hell it's called. And he goes like, yeah, there isn't any. So, okay, so I'll go out, and I'll get a cup of coffee over there. I walk out, and they are intensely having a conversation. This is not like a normal... The boss is talking, everybody else is politely listening. This is like guys are trying to get their opinions across. I had no idea it was USA Today guys.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I just heard a bunch of guys. I'm like, it's way too early for you guys to be in a sports book having this serious a conversation.
Yeah, they're crushing it out there. We got a summit that's going to last 2 days. We're going to learn about marketing strategies, Facebook algorithms.
Hold on. Let's be honest. Ghost is going to learn about it. He's going to explain it to you later. Let's be honest.
It's so true, man. It's something about the young minds. You know, they get it.
I'm 38.
Huh?
I'm 38.
Well, it's 10 years younger than me.
That's true.
And Mike, what's your age?
26.
Wow.
So this guy doesn't count. So his opinion coming on for the
no.
rest of the show doesn't matter.
Well, at
26.
times. At times.
He's 26.
At times.
He has no opinion on anything. He hasn't lived a life yet.
Okay.
He has no idea.
That dude right there puts out stories that fucking crush it. Because he thinks like the young millennial that, the millennial listens to him because he has a way of putting things out. Have you ever seen Twitter reaction?
No.
All right. Twitter reaction is something that I think a lot of outlets do now. But it's, basically it's bringing the athletes closer to the audience in different ways other than the traditional, story. So, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mike can explain it a little bit better, but his young mind's been really, really good for our outlet, USA Today Sports, MMAjunkie. He connects really, really good with the young fans. So, in a way, like, if he talks, I'm listening, man, because I either have to refresh or they're going to bounce me out.
So, once again, like I said, his opinion doesn't matter. Millennials have no idea what the hell is going on either. They have no clue.
He connects with them.
So, you're connecting with someone, so you have no idea. Connecting with someone that has no idea.
See, you're still on MySpace. He's on Snapchat.
Dude, MySpace? What the hell is that?
I'm just saying, like...
I'm on LinkedIn. What are you talking about?
LinkedIn? Who's doing LinkedIn anymore? Fucking Trigg, dude. He always comes in banging, doesn't he? Anyway, listen. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, they went inside the Staples Center yesterday. They had that first press conference, 1 of 4. They're going to do it again today in Toronto, tomorrow in Brooklyn, and Friday in London. Did you guys see it, and what'd you think? Just give me an overall thought.
I saw it, and I thought my first reaction was they need to shore up some stuff. I mean, the audio was very low, right? We were trying to hear it. We couldn't really hear it well. They already started playing their little games. Conor was out there good amount of time before we actually saw Floyd. We see that happen in the boxing ring. It kind of gave you that feeling of knowing who's really controlling the show. And then, they kind of both went at it a little bit.
And prior to that, a couple suits were out there. Do they need to be out there?
I don't think so.
Me neither. Keep it brief and let's get to this thing, If we're going to have break dancers and singers, we've waited long enough. But, yeah, I think that made the thing drag on a little bit, the event.
Here's what stood out to me, though. You have a guy in Floyd Mayweather who everybody feels like Conor McGregor is going to bring something to the table that he's never seen. Dude's seen it all. And he proved it because Conor's biggest weapon is his attitude, right? Coming in. And he played a game on him right off the bat. He didn't say one word. He barely even looked at him. And Conor did not know how to react to that. He didn't know how to play because he's used to people getting mad and making them look silly. And Floyd wasn't playing that game early on. And you could tell it kind of rattled Conor early on.
I think so, too. That setting, even subsequently to all this, he did interviews where he wasn't sure of how things were going to go, and he just ran with it. He's got the Fook word, that he likes to throw around. And, of course, people will give you a roar, But as far as, like, the zingers, there was some great ones, and then there was some that fell a little bit short. Same goes for Floyd, but in my opinion, Floyd didn't need to, like, beat him. He just needed to either match him or come up close. And that's why I said Floyd 1, Conor 0. That was just, my opinion. Because Conor's supposed to obliterate him for 4 days, get this guy so messed up like the way Jose Aldo was, that by the time they fight, there might actually be some sort of an advantage. He better step on the gas, because come fight night, none of that's going to matter, and Floyd can box. Old or not, 2 years out or not, 40 years old or not, he can still box. It's going to be a long night for that kid. But as far as like this trash talk that everybody was looking forward to, I was a little underwhelmed. I thought there was some great stuff, but I thought there was some like dumb stuff too, and I'm not that excited. I may watch one more, and that's it.
I feel like in this one, usually when it's an MMA fight, he can bring out the, I'm getting paid more, just all these boisterous things that he can't really do here. I mean, he's almost fortunate in a way that this Floyd Mayweather tax thing came out, the day before.
Floyd kind of twisted that on him. He said, "I'm gonna tax your ass,"
Yeah, I mean, it was not a bad little line there. I mean, whatever Floyd says, apparently he still owes the IRS $22 million, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, some of the stuff that Conor can pull off in MMA doesn't necessarily work in this situation with Floyd, because he, he's going to be making more. He's a
9-figure fighter. Is that what he said?
Yeah. So I mean, we can debate who's the A side in this one, but I think for the most part, Floyd is the A side here. He's going to be making the more money. He's going to be doing all these kind of things. So Conor just can't really do the same type of trash talk that he does in MMA. It doesn't work the same.
Yeah. Trigg, did you see it?
This is what I'm talking about. Like, he really has no idea what he's talking about. Like, he wants to argue who the A side is in this. The A side is Mayweather. There's no question who the A side is.
No, of course. That's what I just said, though.
No, you just said you can argue who the A side is. There's no argument.
Some people are trying to argue that, though.
Like, this whole conversation is retarded. None of this makes any sense. Why are we talking about a guy that's never one time ever in his life ever did one round of boxing as a professional?
Because everywhere we go, people are talking about it.
You have to understand the conversation we're having. It's a conversation of a bunch of people that don't really get the fight game, or actually trying to talk about the fight game. Like, they know what the fight game is about by watching the commercials and watching the advertisements about what's happening with this fight. The reality of it is a guy that's been doing something for 37 years. I have a broken house. My house is messed up because my plumbing is broken. I need a whole new plumbing set. I call the best plumber on the planet is the guy that's never done it ever as a professional, or the guy that's been doing it for 37 years. I call the guy that's been doing it for 37 years. Mayweather's been doing this for 37 years. The conversation that we have at all about any part of this fight makes no sense.
Ironically enough, Conor was a plumber, so he may be good off calling.
That's where he was going.
But with all this mess, they're getting me for every press conference. They're getting me for every tweet, every Facebook post, and they're getting me for that double price on the pay-per-view. I'm paying for everything to watch this thing. I hate this thing to the top of my being. This is the dumbest fight I have ever seen put together, and I am completely in on this thing. 100% for the entertainment value alone. The fight's going to be the fight. It's going to be over in 5 rounds. Conor's going to get beat up. That's just what's going to happen. There's too many nuances. There's too many things. When you're dealing with a professional boxer, too many shoulder rolls. You're going to burn yourself out trying to hit him. You're not going to be able to hit him. You're going to chase him. The deck is stacked against Conor. The 10-ounce gloves are stacked against Conor. The size of the ring is stacked against Conor. The referee is stacked against Conor. There's no way for him to win. Like, everything is stacked against him. Does he have a puncher's chance? Does he have that left hand that might sleep? Yes, he does, of course. Has Mayweather not knocked out anybody in, 9 years now, right?
2009, I think.
Right? Yeah, I think so. He hasn't knocked out professional boxers. The best of the best. GSP didn't knock anybody out for 9 years. And he ended up walking away as one of the best fighters ever. So, yes, you can be in a sport and be the best of the best and not knock a guy out, and then some guy walks in. So, at the end of the day, boxing is the one that loses in this thing. If McGregor gets into the 6th round or 7th round, he wins no matter what happens. He can sit on a stool in between the 7th and 8th round. You go, I just don't feel like fighting anymore. He still wins because he lasted that long with the best fighter of all time. All these conversations are so retarded. I am literally in arguments with people every day. They have no idea what they're talking about, but they know fighting because they saw it on this, or they heard it from this, or they read this thing. And it's kind of where these conversations end up. We have no choice about it.
And it's all people want to talk about right now. I mean, I tell anyone what I do, and that's the first question. What do you think
Floyd
about this Floyd and Conor fight? Like, it doesn't even matter. That's just right away direct. And I get sick of talking about it in a way, but
so what's that say? What's that say to you about MMA then? Because they want to talk about a boxing fight. They don't want to talk about MMA anymore. So what's that mean about MMA? We're still second tier to boxing, even though the numbers are bigger, the audiences are bigger, we're more frequent, we've got better stars, but we're still bowing to boxing.
We're actually bowing to Conor too, man. It's like if he's doing something, people are talking about it, and then of course that forces us.
He's brilliant. I mean, just what you were saying, right? You're right. If he makes it past 6 rounds, he's kind of winning already at that point. But his whole career has been like that. If you lose to Nate Diaz, what do you want from me? I'm not a 170er. I'm a featherweight. And then if you, I mean, he's kind of had an out for everything, and that's what makes him so brilliant, is he can get away with it.
For me, it doesn't even he's already won, in my opinion, by signing the contract. He's going to get the biggest payday by far he's ever going to get in his career, and as long as he doesn't go and get starched in 30 seconds, I think he comes away fine. He's going to come back to MMA. People are not going to take too much away from him. People are going to be very invested in seeing his next UFC fight, assuming he has one, and for him, he's already won, in my opinion.
Do you think he comes back?
He will?
I think it depends what happens. I think if he loses and then, you know, a fairly humiliating fashion or something that's not where he can't like take a little something away from it, I think he comes back. But if he goes in there and, you know, does decently well, makes an enormous payday, I could see him walking away. But I mean, he's already talking about in this media tour that he looks forward to coming back to the UFC to have a real fight. He calls it, you know, he's saying little things that
limited rules.
Yeah, I mean, strangely enough, I don't know where Mayweather is going with this, but he, you know, it's probably because the contract's already signed and everything, but he's saying, you know, I'll beat you in a ring, I'll beat you in an octagon. He apparently said in his scrum yesterday in LA, MMA next, which is very strange. I mean, I don't think any of this happens as part of the hype, but, you know,
so
who knows?
He said MMA next because you read it that he said MMA next, or because he actually said it? Because the mic was off.
No, this is they did media after the press conference.
He said it again.
Yeah, okay. He said some of this stuff, you know, when they were doing their whole thing backstage when Floyd Sr. came in and crashed Conor's press conference and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he went and banged on upon it. Like that, but that's typical boxing. Like they'll go in there and the opponent's not going to do it, but you're going to have his camp going and do it. And the camp, you know, the old man went in and jumped all over him right in the middle of his press conference, just disrupted the entire thing. Just threw egg all over it. Good luck. Try to figure this one out. I'm just going to come in and start acting a fool.
Damn.
Like, whoa.
Like Danny Garcia's dad? Did you see it?
No, not like Danny Garcia's dad. Nothing's like Danny Garcia's dad.
I'm surprised with this panel that you guys aren't talking about the biggest thing that came out of this whole thing. And you're talking about, you know, how Conor did, how Floyd did, whatever. The biggest thing is that the UFC still has control of the media. That comes out of the press conference.
What happened with Ariel?
Yeah, and they're not the promoter of record. They're not in control of anything. They specifically went to Showtime and said, we do not want this guy on the panel, period. This is the way it's going to work. And the Showtime, you know, David Dinkins just went to him and went and said, okay, look, I'm going to have to cater. Like, you got to go.
Which is super gross.
He's still covering it. It's just not going to be coming for Showtime. He's doing it for whatever he's doing it for. But they're
well, really what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I mean, it's disappointing. Of course, I don't know the full story. I, you know, haven't spoke to Dana White, haven't got all these things. But, you know, Ariel has said what he said on Twitter, saying that this was 100% Dana White's call. And, I mean, there's no secret to anyone watching this that Dana does not like Ariel stemming back to, you know, even before what happened before UFC 199.
Before UFC 199?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay. I mean, if you listen to kind of Ariel's tell-all when he spoke after the 199 incident, talking about, you know, Dana had his security get physical with him behind the scenes when he was working for Fox, and just all these different things that was going on. It's clear that their relationship was never the best, and this just leaks over to it. I mean, it's very unfortunate that Dana would do that to, you know, Ariel, who, you know, if we're going to talk about someone who could speak to Conor McGregor, maybe not, you know, I'm not going to sit here and act like Ariel's going to be able to give technical analysis on how Conor can beat Floyd or how Floyd can beat Conor in the boxing ring, all that stuff. That's not necessarily his take on the sport and how he perceives it, but he spent more time with Conor McGregor than I think any media. He's had more access to him. I think he knows him better than most of us do, so he could provide some insight on that side of it, and I think having him on the panel would be beneficial for the MMA audience, and unfortunately, you know, Dana White didn't want that.
How was Randy Couture not part of this? in some fashion.
I mean, Randy Couture's amazing.
It's a good point.
Did you guys listen to him on PFL?
He's only
night?
No, I totally missed it.
He's a great commentator. I mean, my favorite 3-man booth that the UFC's ever done was Goldberg, Couture, and Rogan back in the day, and obviously you know that.
And he would give us predictions. Remember, he got on a hot streak.
Yeah, he's actually really good.
He was good at picking the fights.
Well, but he's also the only guy that's ever
Parlay City
in the modern era. I mean, unless you want to get, Muhammad Ali, we can't get. He's passed away. Inoki is in Japan, can't speak very much English, so that's the first original
Hulk Hogan.
No, I don't want to.
He fought Balboa. Remember?
Yeah,
No,
Thunderlips.
but it wasn't Hulk Hogan. It was Thunderlips.
Oh, my
character.
But here's the thing, though. Like, if you're not gonna have Ariel, Dana's love for Randy's not that much different.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That they're not the promotion of record. They are not doing anything to help promote this. It's not their job.
Maybe Showtime wants that contract in a few years.
That's where I was going with this. I was going to wait another half an hour before I bring it back up again, but that's kind of what they're looking at. It's like, hey, we have a shot to be on Showtime now, because that relationship for a while was really bad between HBO and UFC and Showtime and UFC. Now it's been mended because this is how they got the deal done. Was everyone's got to come to the table. I kind of think this is how things are going. That Showtime wants that deal because the way that they're doing. There's no way. Can you think about any other promotion or non-promoter, just the B side of the fight, being able to walk in and go, hey, look, we don't like that. We don't like that one guy. I want him out of here. I don't like that one guy. I want him out of here. And the A side promotion goes, yeah, they're gone. Don't worry about it. They're gone. Like, it's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. But we're in a position now where Dana is, love him or hate him, man. He brought MMA out of the dark ages. Illegal in 48 states when they bought it, when they bought the organization. Now it's legalized pretty much worldwide, minus France and up and down in Germany, of any place that counts. I mean, is it legal in Senegal? No, but do we want to go fight in Senegal? Not particularly. Congo, I don't really want to go to the Congo and fight. So, but now he's got this deal where he's got. It is. Let's be honest, man. For as much as I talk trash in this fight, as much as this fight is unappealing to me as a fight, but I'm into it for the entertainment. The reality of it is that this is the biggest fight for boxing and for MMA of all time. This will crush Pacquiao and Mayweather.
For boxing, though?
Yeah, biggest fight for boxing and the biggest fight for MMA, for sure.
Might not be the best fight for boxing, but I agree it's
not the best for them. Because boxing, in my opinion, boxing is the only ones that lose here.
I have
no matter what happens, they lose.
I have a feeling the night of, because of what happened with Floyd and Manny, I think a lot of people still have a bitter taste in their mouth.
For sure.
And rather than me saying, hey, I'm going to get it, come over a few people, I think a lot of people are going to kind of jump on the parties, and I think that might hurt pay-per-view a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Do you think we'll get a shoving match at all, or
they have to? They have to, because that's their biggest sell. That's how they're going to sell tickets.
But I don't think that's really Floyd's style, though.
No, it's Connor's though.
No, sure, but I mean, who knows? I don't really know what's. I think from what I've heard, Floyd is very specific with the contract negotiations and stuff like that. There could be clauses in there when it comes to getting physical, when it comes to talking about certain things. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but there's
100%. And I know this for a fact. There is no physical contact allowed at all before the fight. If it, remember, this is all clauses on Conor. We've all heard the clause in the actual fight. If he throws a kick or tries to do a takedown, whatever, he's automatically disqualified. Or it's like this whole game. Well, you already know if they have this in, there's other crap going in. They're not going to be able to talk about any of Floyd's domestic abuse charges. They're not going to be able to talk about this is the two camps. Now, of course, what's his nuts is going to for sure interview him again. He did it to him. He did it to Mayweather last time he fought. He caught him on a red carpet or something, and he immediately goes, "Well, you're gonna something with domestic abuse. Are you gonna admit to it or whatever the hell he's supposed to do to it?" And then Floyd just knows how to navigate around it. He's like, "Yeah, just come see the fight on whatever date, blah blah," and on Showtime, and then freaking walks away. But so the media's gonna get a hold of it, but there's nothing come from the other side of the camp. You kind of have there really is. You kind of have gentleman's rules on these kind of things. So you have to Conor's gonna be kind of hamstrung too. And as you notice, it's not his normal crew around him at the press conference. You'll see it again when you go to Toronto. It's not the normal guys sitting by him. It's all his attorneys, and you saw in the press conference they're all. Conor's not doing anything. He's just sitting in his FU suit, and they're like, oh, he must be looking at whatever. Like he must be looking at something that happened in Ireland or whatever. But they're scrolling through whatever. And I talked to my William was here. My brother was here till yesterday. And he's like, no, they look like they're going over verbiage. Like they're looking over contractual verbiage. Like what can you say, what can you not say to be prepped for when you walk up and start your conversation what can I do? What can I actually say to make this thing work? And that's the other thing why I think Conor was a little off yesterday is because you now have these different restrictions where MMA, there's no restrictions. You can do and say whatever you want about anybody. It doesn't matter.
You can go punch someone in the face at the press conference.
Yeah,
and the UFC is going to use it in every single clip to hype the fight.
Yeah.
Or throw an energy drink at them.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to keep using it over and over again. It's amazing what you can get away with in MMA that you can't get away with in boxing.
Or toss a PR person out of the way. And inside a fight at the MGM. Shout out to Dave Schaller. You saw him yesterday, right?
I didn't get to see him, unfortunately. It was thank you to Dave, by the way. He hooked me up with some seats for the Summer League. I got to see the Celtics play his Philadelphia 76ers, who are looking like a nice crew coming up. And unfortunately I didn't get to see him because it started late, so I had to leave just after halftime to go to Dana White's Contender Series debut last night at the Tough Gym.
Yep, and we'll talk about that. But we got to do this first. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson. But we will get into that Dana White's Contender Series, Episode 1, Fight Card number 1, whatever you want to call it. I was there. And it was really, really fun to watch. Some great fights. A couple guys were awarded contracts. So they're off and running. I think they got off to a good start. And, of course, Mac come with that as well. We'll also talk to PFL CEO Carlos Silva. So lots going on here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're going to take a quick break and stay close. We'll be right back. Mike Bohn in the house, Frank Trigg in the house.
Never could get in unless you were fed in.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tax. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back on a Wednesday, July 12th. Mike Bohn from MMAjunkie, USA Today Sports, and Rolling Stone in studio here. He's kind of waved it off like it ain't no thing, you know. Frank Trigg also in the house. Always good to have him. Now, while we work on Tony Ferguson, Goes, why don't you play that audio? And I want you guys to just kind of react to it. We'll let it play, and I just want to know, like, how much you enjoyed the smack talk and who which one you thought were the good zingers. This is just kind of like highlights.
For 20,000 people, it's mind-blowing. I'm absolutely honored to be here before you to give you this great spectacle. And somebody's O has got to go.
You thought that was funny?
I didn't like that one.
That's old.
I'm waiting for the fight to happen and like Jimmy Lennon to say that right before the fight begins. Like, it's just goofy, right?
He can't even afford a sue anymore.
He's starting in on him here. This is a good one right here coming up.
The Rhodes is at 2012 outside. He is fucked.
All right, F-bombs. Anyone can do that.
There's no other way about it. His little legs, his little core, his little head. I'm going to knock him out inside 4 rounds, mark my words. And that's it. As far as the fight, he will be unconscious inside 4 rounds. The movement, the power, the ferociousness. He's not experienced this.
Okay.
He's fought people who have
No. Keep playing it, but I'm saying, like, yeah, okay. No one's experienced that.
I don't fear him. I don't fear this limited set of fighting. This is a limited set of rules.
So now he's taken towards
makes this
an MMA.
Fight,
what it would be like an MMA.
This isn't a true fight. If this was a true fight, it wouldn't even take 1 round. How's this suit look? It's a cracker. An August McGregor line. I've got my own line of suits coming out. If you zoom in on the pinstripe, it says "fuck you." I'm just enjoying it. All these rules, all these restrictions. It doesn't faze me, it amuses me. The gloves, they have to be 10 ounce, 154 pounds. He's never fought at 154. I think he's fought at 154 maybe once.
He's right.
He wants the gloves up. No problem. Give him the gloves up. I'll wear 10 ounces.
That's key, actually.
Mexican-made gloves. Okay, no problem. No gloves made out of horsehair. All right, no problem. I don't give a fuck. We're only wearing gloves in our game about 5 years. So I don't give a shit about gloves or any of that.
A lot longer than 5 years.
I'm just enjoying it. It's funny to me, all these rules, and all I need is a gum shield, line me up to the ring, and I'm good to go. So.
For as smart as he is, he's really not that smart. And that's the problem.
I don't know what else to say. I'm just feeling so good. I swear to God, I can't believe contain it.
21 is the number. And they say, why is 21 they say, why is 21 the number? Because that's how long I've been kicking ass. I don't give a fuck if it's a ring. I don't give a fuck if it's an octagon.
You kind of do.
Put me in there and I'm going to kick ass.
Don't be talking shit.
That was funny. Left it. He made it simple.
Out too.
I haven't knocked nobody out in about 20 years.
Closer to about 8, but still a good one.
Dance for me, boy. Dance for me, son. Dance for me.
Hey, give me that backpack. Give me that backpack.
What'd you guys think of this? The $100 million
I didn't
check.
like it. It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. Because he's got these other problems with the IRS. Like, unless that was a setup for Conor to bite and for him to tax that ass or whatever he said.
That's an tax man.
You're right. I'm the IRS, and I'm gonna tax your ass.
Thought he saved himself a little there.
Yeah, we knew I was the A side. That's why I say Mayweather first.
See, that's eating him up.
I was the A side. That's why this bitch had to come to the boxing ring. Hey, he looked good for a 7-figure fighter. He looked good for an 8-figure fighter. But motherfucker, I'm a 9-figure fighter. I want to say thank you to.
Now, why does he do this part?
I don't know.
Start off with that, if anything, but oh my God.
Because it takes 2 warriors to bring an event like this together. And the 2 biggest names in combat sports did this. So I didn't do this by myself. This man played a major part in this fight. But August 26th, that's your ass.
All right, that's the end of it. Those are the highlights from last night's first stop of the World Tour in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. Guys, this is how silly I get with this stuff. I love the trash talk. I actually was keeping score.
He scored
you know, like little dashes were basically a 1, but just kind of like, okay, you know, eventually when he would try and like blast them and say, motherfucker, I'm a 9-figure fighter. A stronger line like that, I was giving like 2s and 3s. But if he was like, he's not a 7-figure fighter or an 8-figure fighter, you know, I was giving little dashes. And of course, Conor had a few things to say as well. The sweatsuit, but I was keeping score, and in the end, I came up with 27-23 Floyd under my dumb system. But again, I just think that coming close, slightly losing, getting out of there, and not letting Conor own you the way others have let Conor own him. I thought that was a huge score for Floyd as they continue, and there's just 3 more of these stops to go. I don't know. London's for sure is going to be a nightmare for him, you know, but like he hasn't gotten his belt stolen, or he hasn't sat there and waited for 30 minutes. The way Conor's done this, he's subjected others to some of that, you know, humility, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's very easy to tell who the A side is when you see, like even Conor saying, "Oh, I didn't even know we had to go up here and speak." I bet you Floyd knew, making him wait. But the one thing that stood out for me is when we're listening to this audio, you notice how low Conor McGregor's mic is, and then all of a sudden the mic gets really well for Floyd Mayweather when he goes up there.
And Conor's mic got cut off at one point.
Yeah.
So who knows?
They're smart, man. I'm telling you, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was saying. Like the gloves are usually 8 ounce. Why is it 10 ounce? Because it's double the size. Come the 4th round, you're not going to lift your hands up anymore. You know, they can't be made out of horsehair. Why is that? Because horsehair is hard. You know, Mayweather knows the game inside and out. Everything is stacked against Conor. Everything is stacked against him. From the get-go of the negotiation process, when and love Dana White, but it's out of his realm. It's not what he knows. He doesn't know how to negotiate boxing. Yeah, was he a boxing fan? Was he? Yeah, but there's like these little nuances: size of the ring, weight of the gloves, type of gloves, where the gloves come from, the stitching on the gloves, like all this stuff is all. It's a little game that gets played depending on your style. And then he like talked about Mayweather's little head. Well, that's why you can't hit Mayweather. It's because he has a little head. He's got really big shoulders and a really small head. You look at guys stylistically how they do. Why does James Toney shoulder roll? Because he's got really big shoulders and he's very flexible. So you can't hit him because he just lifts his shoulders up and rotates, and then there's nothing to hit. Same thing with Floyd, but he stands sideways. Yeah, he's got a little head, and his little legs, his little core, but he's super huge through his back. He's super huge through his shoulders. So it makes it very difficult to hit a target when you can't find the target because the target's buried behind a boulder. You know, his shoulder's in the way. There's nothing to hit. So it's like these little things as Conor's coming out with in the first press conference. Man, this is the first one. This is what he's saying. Now watch what happens when he goes. The next one's what? Toronto?
Toronto. Today, right, Mike?
Tonight, yeah.
Tonight. Okay, my buddy Scott Haggith is actually going. He got tickets to go, and he's like me, except he likes the fight. Like he thinks it's a great fight. I'm like, this is the dumbest fight in the world, but we're in on everything. Like, I just couldn't get to LA yesterday for the press conference, but you'll see the difference in Conor tonight. He's had 24 hours to think about it. What's going to happen now? What should I say? Like there'll be a whole different routine, and we're going to start seeing more of Conor's brashness. We're going to start seeing more of Conor's mouth, and he's going to understand the game a little bit more that's being played on him. And then hopefully by the time, what's the last spot?
London's
Friday. The last spot. So by the time he gets to London, he gets to a space that he feels comfortable in. Then all of a sudden now he'll be like, oh, I got the game, and these are my fans. Not to mention that game, which is going to be hard for Floyd to deal with, like you said earlier, George. But it's going to be a position now where now I've got experience. Conor learns very quickly, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of interested to see the change in tonight, but I really want to see the change between last night and in London.
Do you guys think? Do you guys know? Is the format going to be the same for all 4?
Who knows?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe they're learning on the fly as well. I don't know.
No, they know.
Maybe they'll sit them at a dais. Maybe they'll just do what they did today. I don't know.
No, they know. They know what they're doing because there's a lot of everything's got to be on camera. Everything's got to be on mic'd up. Everything's got to be right. They're hearing. They're listening to people talking about how bad the volume was on the microphones. They're going to fix that, on purpose. Did somebody screw up? Probably. Was it on purpose? Most likely. But now they're going to have to. Everyone called them out on it. It wasn't like before when it happened in boxing. No one really said anything. On this one, a lot of people jumped in right away. They're going to fix all that stuff. So they know exactly how each format is going to go. Is it all the same? We don't know. There's no way to know unless you get a hold of Showtime.
I heard 900,000 YouTube viewers simultaneous or total. I don't know how it
between the 2 feeds, it was something close. And then you have, I think it was on ESPN and on FS2, and you had all, that thing was very widespread, and I couldn't imagine the other outlets globally that all aired that live too and picked up on the feed. So yeah.
Was it on Fight Pass?
I don't think so.
I don't know how they didn't negotiate a live feed on Fight Pass.
I think it might have been because the UFC was streaming it on its YouTube page, so I assume they probably picked it up there as well. Because usually they have all that stuff on there.
There'll be some special programming today on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Randy Gordon and myself, we will host a 2-hour show, and we will basically react to today's Mayweather-McGregor press conference in Toronto, and then we'll take your calls. So again, that's at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Toronto. It's supposed to be 60% chance of rain, and they're using an outdoor venue.
Oh, wow.
And thunderstorms, so
all right.
Just curious to see what happens up there. I mean, the stage part is covered, and like the first 20 rows of seats or something, but the rest is grass fields and a little hill and stuff. It's actually like a nice venue to go to like a summer outdoor concert, but Toronto weather is very bipolar in a way. It's it changes very frequently, so I'm interested to see what happens today.
Gotcha. All right, Danny, quick update. What's going on?
I have not been able to reach Tony Ferguson.
Okay, let's take some calls. Who do we got?
Let's go with Brandon in Louisville.
What's up, Brandon? How you doing?
Hey boys, how y'all doing today?
Good, and you?
Good. Glad to hear my 2 favorite junkie hosts, Frank Trigg and Gorgeous George, in the studio today.
Zing.
We can't give him that mic they gave Conor yesterday.
Yeah, we could, but it wouldn't be as funny.
So just cut it off. Just cut me off. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I love you, buddy. So, Gigi, your scoring system for this thing, did you deduct points when Mayweather just flat out lied about saying he didn't care about the gloves and he didn't care about what
I did.
was in a ring or an octagon?
Yeah, I did. When they got silly, I was doing little -1s, and I had some -1s, some 1s, some 2s, some 3s, and I think I gave Floyd a 5 at the very end. But sure, go ahead.
I mean, they're shit talking. I mean, it's just outright being ridiculous. And we all know that the gloves matter. We all know that it not being in the cage matters. Conor said some stupid shit. Floyd hasn't seen anybody like him. Yada yada yada. Floyd's seen it all, but come on, man. At least keep it somewhat reasonable.
That's what I'm thinking. But then again, there's how many jackals out there at Staples Center listening and soaking it all up, and whatever they say is gospel. So that's who they're talking to. You know what I mean? They can get away with saying whatever they want. If they would have said, get him a body bag, kick his ass, Seabass, the whole place would have erupted. So I guess it didn't really matter.
And you got to say, guys, I can get a quick stun gun in for every suit I've ever owned, because if I had suits with pinstripes that said "fuck you," I'd be a happy man.
I think we all would.
You got it, Brandon. All right, thanks for the call. Who's next, Danny?
We have Marco in Waco.
Oh, Marco in Waco. What's up, man?
Marco from Waco, que pasa datos, Frank Trigg and Mike Bohn.
What's up?
So, yeah, this thing was in Fight Pass last night because I watched it on Fight Pass. I don't know how to say, man. Conor was already restricted on the freaking smack talk, man. What the fuck? But it's okay. He's going to get better at it. What do you guys think about the commentary of Mauro and Malanagi and Brendan Schaub, man? I mean, I think they did all right, but sometimes it was a little bit dragging into the same points, dude. I would like Frank's opinion because I think Frank will do a good job here on the desk with Mauro and Brenda here, Paulie Malignaggi. We'll leave you guys. Catch you guys tomorrow.
All right, Marco. We'll see you. First of all, Mauro, love him to death, best in the business, but he needs to go to McGregor Suits. He was really, really casual. It's almost like they pulled him off the street. But of course, he owns it. He's legit. He's distributing the ball. Paulie Malignaggi, I thought, you know, there's obviously that rumor out there that he may actually be a part of the McGregor camp. So like there was enough venom coming from the boxing side, but still given that that old McGregor might have a shot, whatever. And of course he's working for Showtime. He's got to build that up. But on Brendan's side, boy,
who's his agent? I need him. That guy's getting some good gigs lately.
For him to think that this thing's gonna go 12 rounds, and that Conor has that much of a shot. I mean, I guess again, you know, we may pull him aside and he may go, no, man, I'm just, you know, I'm getting paid. I gotta say this. But if he really believes that, wow, he needs to get his head examined. I just don't see it. I just don't see how whatever he sees in Conor McGregor's sparring videos or any boxing that he's, you know, footwork, anytime that he's actually boxed when he's been in the ring, that can even measure up to a club boxer, circuit boxer. You know what I mean? Let alone a fucking world champion. But he was over the top. That's what he does, and Mike nailed it. I mean, how he got the gig, I don't know, but he's really scoring some really good ones as of late. But what did you guys think of Ronaldo, Shaw, and Paulie Malignaggi?
I mean, the first thing that came to mind, it was kind of weird watching two Bellator broadcasters in Mauro and Brendan Schaub doing analysis for a fight that involves a UFC fighter. I just thought that was kind of an interesting sight. But, you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about Mauro. In my opinion, he's the best in the business in terms of any combat sport. He can call boxing, kickboxing, MMA, pro wrestling seamlessly, and he is absolutely incredible. I can't wait to hear his actual call on fight night. I thought it was a decent panel. I mean, we should have had Ariel Helwani up there too. He was meant to be part of that group. I think he would have brought a little more level-headed analysis from the MMA side than what we got from Brendan Schaub. But it's day one. I mean, they're doing this whole tour together. We'll see what happens, I guess, when they go forward. I agree with you. You know, Brendan Schaub said some things. If you listen to what he said on the Bellator broadcast too, it's a little more on the outlandish side. And I don't know how many people listen to him on like Joe Rogan's podcast and on his own podcast and stuff. I feel like he has a little bit of a cornered the market on some outrageous takes at times. But you know, that's what he does, and you need to kind of have that person in there. So it's whatever. I mean, you have that analysis. I think you have Mauro there to keep people in check, and Paulie, you know, obviously has great insight in the boxing game as well. So I thought it worked, and I'm sure it'll get better.
¿Y usted qué piensa?
None. So, Traub is useless. There's no reason to have him on there. It makes no sense. He wasn't any good in Bellator. I'm sorry. He just wasn't. And this is what's pissing me off about like the sport as a whole. I started refereeing because there's a real danger. There's a real problem with referees. People are going to get hurt. My friends are going to get hurt for long-term damage. Not just, oh, he got in a bad fight and it was a bad night. Like long-term damage. So I started refereeing because of that reason.
Like what happened where, Mike?
With Tim Hague?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The referee did an atrocious job.
He didn't even try to stop it. He was like, he didn't even look like he wanted to stop it until 25 punches too late. You're like, this is just, it's bad. It's really bad. So this is my reason for jumping in. But now because I'm doing this, I'm thinking more about the longevity of the sport. Like if I had fought at 85 my entire career, I would have fought way into my 40s. Like would not have been a problem. I'd have stopped fighting because I couldn't cut weight anymore. There's no reason for me to be at 85 at the time because I wasn't big enough. But I'd stayed there the whole time. It would have been fine. So you look now at the commentators with a different light. I'm looking at them for giving real information that people are going to understand. The problem is that we're now in a situation where social media runs everything. So if somebody gets a good social media following, if somebody has a platform, a lot of people listen or pay attention to you, then what they say then becomes the gospel. And the problem is that most of the commentators, and this, I can honestly say this about some of the best commentators that are out there right now that are doing the Fox shows, that are doing the pay-per-views, they're doing all these things, they absolutely, positively have no idea what they're talking about. They honestly do not know how the fight game actually works. Or they know how the fight game works, but only one space. They understand the striking, they understand the wrestling, and they understand the grappling. And that's it. And so they're very heavy in that area. And so, but then when they say anything on Saturday, come Monday, when I'm out hanging out, all of a sudden everybody is talking to me about that one thing that guy said or that girl said, which is completely wrong. It's not my opinion. It could be wrong. It is just completely wrong. what that person said. Like, and it's like, oh no, the commentator says so it's true. This is the problem with Brandon. I love his podcast. I think it's great. It's a podcast. It's a podcast, so you can kind of go with the craziness on it. But with him being in that space on Showtime, it is absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever. He was horrible on the Bellator broadcast. He was bad last night. Is he going to get better? Of course he is. I mean,
and he actually has the ability to be better. You know what I mean? But you're right. He's carrying over the persona from the podcast over, and he doesn't need to because I think he could actually pretty much deliver.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys see that thing Bellator released before the fight where he did the sit-down with Lorenz Larkin and they were, like, eating the food and stuff like that?
No, I didn't see it.
It was called, like, I can't remember the name of it, but it was, like, a week or two out from the fight. It was really well produced by Bellator. It was, like, Brendan and he went to Riverside and he sat down and they kind of ate some, like, elegant food inside of a art museum and stuff. It was, like... in theory, it sounds like a bad idea or like something kind of silly, but in execution, it was really well done. I thought it was the best thing Brendan Schaub's ever done. So, I know we're taking
serious conversation.
No, but he's got.
Yeah, it was. It was
I'll have to check it out.
So, it's worth checking out.
I'm a Brendan fan, man.
That's the problem. That's the reason why I'm
better
so
in that forum of kind of talking back and forth, put a camera on him. But yeah, like his analysis, definitely, there's room for improvement.
What's scary is day one is probably what you would think is the easiest day, right? Now you got to reheat old food, and you got to do it 3 more times. It's going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and I bet you, I have a feeling Showtime's going to huddle up and say, look, maybe they took some direction in it or whatever, but that needs to get better. It really does. This is too big of a massive event for them to come up short on that end, too. And yesterday, maybe we can attribute it to, like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. This is a circus. It's a spectacle. Let's just get through it. But I think in these next 24 hours, especially with Morrow at the helm, I'm expecting better everywhere. And that includes the 2 fighters. All right, we got to take this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We have spoken to Ferguson's people. We will reroute them to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And then we also have Carlos Silva coming up from PFL, the Professional Fighters League. He's proud of his former champ, Justin Gagey. We'll get his thoughts on that. When we come back, stay close.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
The countdown to NFL training camp is underway. Stay tuned to SiriusXM NFL Radio throughout the summer for the latest on all 32 teams as they get set for the 2017 season. The only place to hear 24/7 coverage of the National Football League is SiriusXM NFL Radio, Channel 88, and on the SiriusXM app. The app kicks ass, man. I'm telling you. Danny uploads that show, our show, really quick, commercial-free, HD quality. You'll dig it. All right, we have Mike Bohn in-house here and Frank Trigg. We're talking about Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor and this tour they're on. And, of course, part 2 is today. The second stop is in Toronto, Canada.
Yet I'm not there. Strangely enough.
And, yeah, you're right, huh? Randy Gordon and I, so Randy Gordon from At the Fights, we will be doing a special at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where we will react to it. We're going to listen to the press conference and then react to it and take your calls. So it's special programming on SiriusXM, Rush 93. That's kind of how we get down. So we kind of jumble these breaks against each other. We're going to take another one in a sports update. When we come back, we'll talk to Carlos Silva from the Professional Fighters League, and we'll follow that with Tony Ferguson. In between then, we'll take your calls at 866-522-2846. Also, get familiar with our co-hosts. Follow Mike Bohn on Twitter at Mike Bohn MMA. Follow Frank Trigg on Twitter at Frank Trigg. See you in a couple minutes, folks. like that song, Happy Hour?
Yeah. I'm the only one on the panel that actually knew the song.
This is Happy Hour by the House Martins. All right, folks. Second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We got Mike Bohn in the house, one of our talented writers at MMA Junkie, USA Today Sports, and of course Frank Trigg, former UFC welterweight contender, former Icon world champion, and of course the UFC Hall of Famer. Danny, are we ready to go with our guest?
Number.
No.
Oh, I thought I forwarded that.
No.
So while we're doing that, here's what's going to happen. Frank Trigg, update us on Hawaii 5-0, stunt work, all that stuff. What do you got going on?
5-0 just started last week, July 6th. We're back full board for the next season, season 8. You guys have to watch the opening episode. Randy Couture is in it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's on. I've been with him. We went shark diving on Monday. We've been hanging out the whole weekend.
Shark diving?
Yeah, we go shark diving a lot.
Are you crazy or what, man?
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty fun.
Did you not see
But they
that
don't like
shark
you.
that actually went through the cage like about
That's a
6
great
months
white.
ago?
I'm not swimming with great whites. It's a totally different concept. Like what I do is like really chill and tranquil. Like you're in their environment. I'm not in a cage. It's just snorkels and fins, and they're just hanging out. Like they brush right by you.
What kind of sharks?
Galapagos and sand sharks. So they're very timid. Every now and again you get a tiger shark. You got to watch out. Tiger starts coming in.
And the bull sharks too are aggressive, right?
We don't get that many bull sharks where we go.
Okay.
We go over in Haleiwa, over on the north shore of Oahu, and it's actually pretty cool. That's Randy's first time doing it. He went great white shark diving in South Africa, but he's in a cage. He's like,
nope.
It's really not comfortable. Like you have to wait. There's a spotter on the boat, and you jump in, and you got your snorkel mask on. You kind of see the shark coming around, but you're in a cage, and they're chumming the water and throwing stuff. And with these sharks, you just like turn the boat engine on, they come floating around. Like it's pretty awesome. It's really a cool. You really understand nature a lot better when you're out there doing it.
I probably would have done it if not for that one video where the shark just rams through that cage. So
these sharks aren't aggressive at all. The tiger shark you got to watch out for. That's really aggressive. But there's so many people in the water that know what they're doing because there's like 4 people on the boat that are just workers. Mm-hmm. 2 are on the boat. One's a spotter. One's a captain. There's a way to use the boat as a blocker.
Is there a first mate?
There's a first mate, cabin boy, and a secondary, and they're in the water though. So the first mate stays on the boat with the captain, and then the other 2 jump in the water. So anyway, 5-0's back up again, full bore. I'll be in the second episode.
And when's that episode air?
I couldn't tell you. September sometime. I mean, that's just when it starts usually.
Please
September.
remind us so we can let our audience know so we can check it out. We'd love to check out yourself and Randy Couture. All right. We are ready to go with our guest here. He's the president of event and business operations for the Professional Fighters League, which, as we all know, was known as the WSOF, the World Series of Fighting, up until a few months ago. And they came out with the announcement that they'll have a regular season format with playoffs and a tournament where $1 million will be given to the different weight classes coming up in 2018. Of course, in the meantime, they have shows that they're putting on, including the one that just took place in Daytona. They have one coming up in Everett. But we're going to start off with just talking about an alumni from WSOF/PFL. We'll go with PFL going forward. So presenting here, Carlos Silva. How you doing, Carlos? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Guys, how you doing today?
Good, thank you. We're doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing after seeing one of your, one of your champions go to the UFC and put on what's arguably a performance of the year in the fight of the year? I mean, quite a statement made by Justin Gage, your former lightweight champion.
Yeah, tremendous. Tremendous debut. I think everybody, I think Brian Stan, said it after the fight. It was maybe the best debut that he's seen. Look, Justin, we all knew that's Justin. I mean, look, you come off of the Firmino fight at the Garden, which had a lot of the same characteristics as the fight the other night in his UFC debut, where he was hurt, he was down, he kept at it, he sort of found his head, and he got a finish. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, 2 great athletes. It was a great fight. As a fan, if I could just put on my fan hat for a second, it was a great fight to watch for sure.
And so did that also feel good, a little validation for any time anybody said, you don't have the highest caliber of fighters, obviously you're not as your promotion isn't as old as Bellator's is or the UFC, but oftentimes fans will try and discredit.
look, we've talked a lot, guys. World Series of Fighting and now Professional Fighters League. I think Ray and the team have put on the most authentic and great fights over the last few years. I mean, they continue to do that. The fights in Daytona were there. Guys like Justin Gaethje have come out of that system. And I think when they see Ray in that fighter meeting, with all the fighting, the 100 fights that he's been through, they listen, and then I think they come and they perform. And I think Justin showed the UFC, showed Bellator, showed fans, showed everybody that he's a great fighter no matter where he's fighting. Whether he's a great World Series of Fighting champion, and he'll always be. And look, we really hope he'll become a UFC champion and continue his march. Look, he's undefeated. He's the first one to say that eventually he's going to lose. But in the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing him go 19-0.
So, Carlos, Frank Trigg here. I was with Couture this whole last weekend, and we actually were talking about Justin. And Justin's very, very smart with his style. He understands the kind of style that he has and what he does. He understands that he's got to work on his defense because he's going to get hit a lot. Was there any ever time when he was fighting for you that you were like, ooh, this fight's going to be really tough because he's going to get cracked a lot? Even though he's going to hit back, it might be one of those where all of a sudden he gets defeated. Was there any fight during his career when he was with you guys that you were like, this might be the one he's not going to get through because of the way the fight's going to go?
Look, I think if you looked at, the fight I mentioned, the Firmino fight, I think a lot of people would say that maybe Firmino, was winning the fight, but like anything, he didn't finish, and Justin got them to stop it because Firmino's, he got to his eye, and eventually his eye closed, and I think the refs did the right thing and stopped the fight. Even though I think a lot of the fans, everybody would have liked to have seen it go forward. Look, the two Palomino fights are in the same category, and look, they were like Rock'em Sock'em robots, and they were going at it just like Justin's fight the other night. And it could have gone either way, but Justin always seems to come out on top. He needs, like any champion, he finds that little bit to take it to the next level and either get a finish or get a unanimous decision. And he's amazing. He digs deep, and that's the sign of a great champion.
Goes, what do you have for Carlos Silva?
Carlos, we're big fans of Justin Gaethje here. We love seeing him fight. The second his fights end, you can't wait to see him again. But the one thing that always scares us, and I want to get your opinion on it, is what goes through your mind when you know Justin's going to go up on that top of the cage and do that backflip? And especially after, this last fight where you saw he went up there 2 times, fell down. I was getting pretty scared when he was at the top of the cage. What goes through your mind?
Look, it's probably the same thing that every other fan does. It's if anyone's climbed or even been in a cage or around a cage, it's pretty high up there to get on the top of the side of the cage. That's a big jump to do a backflip off the top. But Justin's done it a bunch of times. It's his signature. I knew it watching the fight the other night on the tough finale that he was going to get up there. A couple people tried to prevent him. I think he flipped once.
Twice.
Because I'm sure he was sweaty, but he was going to do it. It's his signature move. He stuck the landing. And look, there's a lot of guys that have over the years, in other sports. No one had seen anyone climb the famed cage up the side at the Indy 500 until Helio Castroneves did it, and it became his signature. It became part of his brand, and I just think the backflip is part of Justin's brand, and good for him for being a showman. I think he's going to be fine. He knows how to do it. He knows what he's doing. And I think he'll probably continue doing it. If Justin was on the call with us today, I think he'd probably say the same.
Wow. So when he was working for you, at no time did you ever say, hey, Justin, maybe let's try let's try a Nicky Shuffle or a different type of celebration?
Let's whiteboard out another move for you, Justin. It's not quite as dangerous. Yeah, no, look, again, look, they're fighters and they're great athletes, and they're, as Justin will say, they're showmen. So I think they all come up with them. But you're right, the Icky Shuffle probably would be a little bit safer.
We have Mike Bohn here from USA Today Sports and MMAjunkie. Mike, what do you have for Carlos Silva?
You guys just announced the signing of George Greenberg, and I was curious how that all came together for you guys.
Yeah, look, a great addition to the team. Gotten to know George here over the last couple of months. I mean, his resume speaks for himself. You know, he's only had 2 jobs prior to joining Professional Fighters League at ABC Sports and at Fox Sports and Fuel TV, and he's been innovative. He's been in and around all of Fox's great broadcasts of the UFC, you know, over the last 10, 15 years, and we couldn't be happier to have him come on as our executive producer. It really helps me. Helps me to run the business, knowing that I've got George's experience and such a smart and innovative guy helping us to make the Professional Fighters League look, feel, and be great. So it's a great announcement. We really are excited.
Yeah, George actually gave me my start. That's how I got started for Pride. George picked me out of when Boss Rutan wanted a break. He's like, let's bring that Trigg guy in, and he groomed me. Like, George is the guy that made me the great commentator that I was, because he literally would sit down with me and go, okay, slow down here, pick up the pace here, increase your voice here. Like, he gave me all the little nuances, and it's like you'll see the PFL's commentating team get better because he will give notes. He will talk to you in the middle of the show. He will give you, look, I know it was a little, you went the wrong way on that one. It was like, and we know that you made a mistake. You know you made a mistake. This is how you fix it. And he's like, he gets into it with you. Like, he's amazing. I can't say enough good things about that guy.
Wow. And speaking of the commentary, sorry to interrupt, Carlos. Speaking of commentary, I thought Randy Couture did. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead. I think we're going to say the exact same thing. I mean, he did exactly that in Daytona. He jumped in. He literally was kind of just getting involved, but he's got such a great way about him. He grabbed the talent. He worked really well with our partners at NBC Sports, which is a credit to both sides to really sit them down. I think Randy, is a great example. Randy, I think, did a great job in this last fight, and he really helped him, with his energy and gave him some really good, coaching and ability to sort of raise his game on the commentary side. And I think it showed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I thought Randy Couture was tremendous, and I hope you guys continue to use him, because I think he brings something very special to these broadcasts. So, I thought that was amazing. I just wanted to commend you guys on bringing him in.
Thank you, and we feel the same way about Randy. I've gotten to know Randy this year, and he's helped us now, since the Garden show, and he'll be with us at Everett as well. So we're always excited to have Randy not only helping us on commentary, but also just helping us to think about the Professional Fighters League and fighter safety and the sport. So he's a great he's a great guy, great fighter, and a great mind for the sport.
Carlos, can you use the success of Justin Gaethje as a recruiting tool for some of the young fighters that you want to groom? Because a lot of times, look, obviously, much respect to what the UFC does, but a lot of times a fighter can get lost in the shuffle. You guys allowed Justin to grow as a fighter, not only inside the cage, outside the cage, and now he's delivering. I mean, you guys were saying it all along. He's one of the top, if not the top lightweight in the world, and he may have a chance to prove it by the end of 2017 to 2018. But the same way, University of Southern California, they go after quarterbacks, and they have a tradition. So a good quarterback may want to go there. How do you apply that to the alumni that leave your organization towards the new crop that's coming forward?
You just did it for me, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's about respecting these athletes and the fighters and helping them to mature. Like any professional athlete, it takes time. There's not very many that come out, as quickly as Aaron Judge, did the other night in the All-Star game. I mean, it happens from time to time with superstars, but a lot of times, overnight success happens in 5 years. And so Justin's really groomed his game. I think we've always supported him and his family and tried to put the right fights together for him, and he's always responded. So absolutely he's a recruiting tool for us. I mean, we've got another champion, an undefeated champion in Andre Harrison. He's got a lot of the same athleticism and ability that a guy like Justin has, and I'm sure he's looking at what Justin did in his World Series of Fighting, and now Andre in Professional Fighters League, and thinking about how he's going to win $1 million next year with us. And so we absolutely will continue to support him, and we wish him well in in his career at the UFC, and absolutely, it becomes a recruiting tool for us. And there's going to be a lot of excitement next year with the new league format. There's $10 million up for grabs. $7 million for 7 winners in each of the weight classes, and that's a big recruiting tool also. So we're pretty excited about getting to January 2018 with the new season format.
Carlos, I got to ask, at some point, you've got to stop talking about the UFC to kind of build yourselves up as well, and be that space. And obviously right now, Justin is the guy. Like, he came from us, we built him up, we made him, and he went over there, and look how good he's doing, and now they're talking all this, tough show and all this other stuff with him right now because of how good he is. But at some point, there's gonna be you have to have that conversation where you're like, okay, we gotta. Not that you're not gonna talk about him. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, there's a couple of organizations out there that if you mention the UFC at all or any other promotion that's not their own, they start flipping out. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm saying at some point you gotta have that conversation where, like, we're big enough now, we're our own entity. Like, we also bring guys, and let's be honest, $1 million purse for a guy that wins a tournament, I can't.
That's legit, man.
I can't think anybody else is making that kind of money.
Look how fired up Jesse Taylor was when he held that $290,000 check the other day. I mean, that's really, really life-changing stuff.
I mean,
and this is almost 4 times as much, or around
there. Carlos, I know you're not going to go, hey, we're going to be as big as the UFC tomorrow. Like, we're going to be that level right away. Like, I know you're not that guy. That's not who you are. But there is a point where you're like, hey, we're giving guys $1 million. There's guys that we're changing people's lives right now. We're going to make somebody be able to take care of his family for the rest of their lives because he wins this tournament. Like, this is a big deal, and you're kind of like, yeah, we're giving away $1 million. Like, it's like a daily thing for you. So at some point, there's going to be someone's going to go, I have a choice to go with the UFC and make 15 and 15. We're going to take a risk and jump in this tournament and make $1 million. What are they going to do? Like,
yeah, Look, and that's exactly how we're talking to fighters right now. I mean, look, there's this window right now where we're going to be securing the first roster between now and October, the first roster for the 2018 season. If you're not on that roster, you're not going to get a chance to win that $1 million. So all of the existing fighters we've got and a whole bunch of new fighters that are calling every single day, they want a chance to try and get in on that roster so that they have a shot. 7 of 84 guys, 7 of 84 guys, 12 guys in each weight class are going to be millionaires at the end of next year. Those are pretty good odds if you're a fighter. So there's no doubt, look, with all due respect to everyone, the sport's been built.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a league. There hasn't been a season format. There's a regular season. There's a championship. There's a playoffs, and there's a championship. And Professional Fighters League is going to change the sport by doing what we're doing. No doubt about it.
I'm really old, so obviously I've been around since the inception of the game. So you have that IFL switch that went in there where they're like, hey, we're going to try and do this season or whatever. I got to ask, what are the guys going to make that only get through to the second round, only get through to the third round? There's obviously getting paid for every fight. Is it a significant amount of money they're going to get every time? Is it enough money for them to be like, okay, I got to revamp, rethink. I didn't win that fight. I got to change a couple things to become better, but I have enough money to help me do that.
Yeah, look, there's a regular season. Fighters are going to get their show money and their win money based on where they fall within those top 12 guys.
Right.
All those contracts will pay them 3 times as they fight during the regular season. Then there's going to be a quarterfinal loser because they're going to get into the playoff round. They're going to lose in the quarters. They're going to get a check when they lose in the quarters. There's going to be 2 semifinal losers. Those 2 guys are going to get a check when they lose in the semis. And there's going to be a winner that wins $1 million, and there's going to be a finalist that loses that championship bout, and they'll also get paid for losing that championship bout. So everyone's gonna do quite well in the Professional Fighters League. We're really trying to take care of these professional athletes and give them a real season of sport. They'll know when they're going to fight. They'll know how many times they're going to fight, and they'll know if they win that they're going to make it into the playoffs.
Coach,
and I think that's going to be a real change for the sport.
You may not know this, but I ref MMA now. That's the next hobby that I'm into, and I've been doing it for the last 4 years. I've been doing it quite a bit, and that's one of the things we look at is like, hey, a fight's a fight. If the guy's making 2-2, he's still getting punched, he's still getting kicked, he's still getting the same elbow. Nothing is changing for the guy that's making 500. It's the same fight from a referee standpoint, from a judging standpoint. And when you're talking about, hey, you make it to the quarters, you're still going to get a check. you're gonna make it to the semis and you lose, you're still getting a check. We're still gonna pay you. We're still gonna give you money. Like we're gonna be able to allow you to go on and move forward. To me, it's almost a no-brainer. Why would I go anywhere else? Why wouldn't I just go take the risk? I don't have superstardom. I'm not a guy that's drawn a lot of pay-per-view buys. I'm not a guy that's bringing a lot of fans in. But I got a shot to win this tournament. Let me just jump in this tournament then and take a risk, because MMA really is a risk. Everybody that's in it is a risk taker to begin with. That's the mentality of the fighter that's in the sport. It just makes sense to go to your league as opposed to going anywhere else, because I have a shot to make $1 million and be a millionaire, and I've also got a shot to make sure that I'm paid every month. I've got enough money coming in to provide for my family, as opposed to a lot of other promotions like, yeah, we're going to sign an 8-fight contract. You're going to make $1,500, and we'll fight you 2 times a year. You're like, that's great. I win both. I can make $6,000. That's awesome. You know.
No, it's great. No, it's great to hear you say that, because we do. The $1 million is a great, super exciting. 7 guys are 7 weight class winners are going to win the $1 million. But more importantly, I think you're right. It's about knowing when you're going to fight, knowing that you're going to get those 3 fights in the regular season, knowing that you're going to be taken care of as a professional athlete. That I think is really important as a foundational piece of these fighters being athletes and being professional athletes. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake is make it to the playoffs, make it to the championships, and try to win $1 million. I think it changes the game.
And may I add too, I almost wish they were having a scouting combine like the NFL, where they say, listen, this prize is so great. We want you to be buttoned up as well, not just to be a great performer inside the cage, but you better have your social media, in line. You better get your preparations. I want to look at your history and make sure that you've made the weight, you've handled yourself as a professional in the past. I mean, this is no joke over here at PFL. And at the same time, if I may borrow a line from Pulp Fiction, I'd even say, English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Or at least speak some form of it, because we want you to communicate in a way. I mean, this is a grand opportunity that they have. So hopefully those fighters that come in, pass some scrutiny and some eyeballs, and they take this serious. In 1 year, $1 million. Sign me up.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking George is going to leave the show. He's trying to get a job over here, and Trigg may come out of retirement to get in this tournament.
No, absolutely will not. Nope, will not. Absolutely will not come out. I will ref it, though. I will sit in there and keep the guys safe, but I'm not coming back to fighting.
All right. Well, Carlos, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for doing the interview, and we'll catch up soon. And of course, PFL Everett on July 29th.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Carlos. All right, folks. Bye. We are going to take a break now. When we come back, we will hopefully, fingers crossed, line up with Tony Ferguson, UFC lightweight, see what's up for him. Gaethje wants a piece. Kevin Lee wants a piece. Barbosa wants a piece. Nurmagomedov's never too far. And, of course, the wrench in all this is Ferguson wants a piece of Conor. So who knows what we're going to try and figure that out, see what makes the most sense here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM. Rush 93. Mike Bohn in the house. Frank Trigg in the house. And I think they need to balance it out, even if it's just one or two.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch of another fine edition of MMA Junkie Radio. We got Mike Bohn in the house, Frank Trigg in the house. Talked a lot about Mayweather and McGregor. And, of course, part 2 is again tonight in Toronto, Canada, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
You watching?
And I will be watching, and we'll be hosting a special programming show on Sirius XM Rush 93, myself and Randy Gordon. So, again, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We will be listening, observing, taking notes, reacting, and then taking your calls. So definitely tune in.
What happens if it's the exact same thing as last night? So you've already got your score. You've already got.
I have a little bit of backup here. Obviously, I think
you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I may check out. That might be it for me. I thought I was going to listen to all 4 and check it out, but
you listen to all 4. You have to, man, because you don't want to hear from Mike Bohn. Dude, did you see what happened? You don't want to be that guy. You're gonna tune into all 4.
Suppose
all
you're
of us
right.
are gonna.
Come on, man. How many outlets are covering this thing, though? So if he doesn't watch one, all he has to do is read the blurbs.
We're junkies. That's our problem. We can't. We have to watch it.
Speaking of being a junkie,
we're junkies and monkeys because we do everything that they tell us to do. Connor tells us dance. We dance. We have to.
Racist or not racist?
I don't know, man.
When he said dance boy,
yeah,
he changed it to son. So I don't know. I did think about that, but
I wouldn't have.
I don't like to lean on the side of, oh my God, everything you think is racist, So I just let it go. No, but I'm sure someone thought of it.
Racist, 100% racist. Funny as shit. Do it again. Racist as shit. 100% racist. But funny as shit. Do it again.
And that's no surprise from Connor.
No,
unfortunately, that's
do it
kind
again.
of part of his shtick a little bit. When it comes to calling Nate Diaz a cholo from the hood, or just little things like that. There's been some subtle racism in Conor McGregor's trash talk in multiple fights.
Here's the deal: it was a racist comment at the appropriate time that made it funny. It's funny.
Why did he back off and say "son" after?
Because
it's like he caught himself.
Because he was worrying about the racist card, which is now an issue of like, why is racism is here? We have it everywhere. It's on everything. We do it all over it's everywhere. Why are we avoiding it? So when you have an opportunity like Connor does to use your mouthpiece to make something funny, then make it funny. And that's what he did. It wasn't a situation of like, oh, you're dating my sister and I'm going to take you outside and beat the crap out of you kind of racism. It was just, it's me about to beat your ass, you trying to beat my ass. Let's have a conversation. The conversation came out. That's probably one of the best lines of the whole thing for me, was him doing that, and I thought it was funny as crap. And then immediately everybody was like, oh, racist stuff. But yeah, it was racist. 100% was racist. Who cares? Why are you so sensitive? It wasn't towards you. It was towards Mayweather. No one should be mad as Mayweather. And maybe Mayweather Sr. because he's just that kind of guy. But, I mean, that's it. It's funny. He should do it again. I hope he does it more tonight. I really do. I hope he does it more, because that is the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff we got to keep. Stop burying underneath the carpet and start throwing on top of everything. And when athletes do it, it's like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of is just part of trash talk. That's the locker room talk.
Through the history of boxing, racism has been part of the promotion, going back to a lot of historical fights. So
you ever been to a boxing gym?
Going back to 2016.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you guys walk into a boxing gym, like a real boxing gym, a real, like, these are some killers in here, like guys are gonna. Anybody, like, I walk into most rooms and go, oh, I'm beating up 95% of the people in this room, and I haven't trained in 2 months. I'm 100% getting out of here alive. You walk into a real boxing gym, you're like, I'm not getting to the bathroom alive. These people are going to kill me. And it is the Hispanics in one corner, the whites in another corner, the blacks in another corner. That's it. And they do not intermingle, and they talk trash across the gym at each other the whole damn day. It is the most racist place you can ever be in America, is inside of a boxing gym, and it is funny as shit, because they are literally pulling out every stereotypical racist race card they can pull out of their pocket and throwing it at the guy, and they're throwing it right back, and no one cares. And then literally, you see these guys like, wow, those two guys have heat. Mike and George are about to beat the shit out of each other. This is real heat. This is real heat, man. Like, you guys are getting in the middle of it. They're roommates. They live together. they drove in the same car. They're going home together. Oh, yeah, good practice? Yeah, good practice. Do you have 2 different coaches? Like, oh, yeah, all right. Okay, let's go home and get something to eat. Like, I'm like, whoa, what the hell just happened? It's part of the culture. It's part of the culture, so it's not that big of a deal. And I like that sense of it where things that we think in America are have to be super PC about, Boxing gyms, you don't, man. We're here for one purpose and one purpose only.
Like the
do
comedy
harm
club?
to the other guy. Like what?
Like the comedy club?
Yeah, same thing. Like what's his nuts?
That unspoken rule.
Remember when Kramer got in all that trouble for the guy yelled at him and he yelled back at him because he was. I'm sorry, forgive me, I forget Kramer's real name, but he yelled back at him. And it was
Michael Richards?
Yeah, Michael Richards, and he was doing this big thing, and it all of a sudden became like a big racist thing.
Yeah.
And his response was like, it's a comedy show. Like Joe Rogan, when he does his comedy show, he sometimes in the middle of it goes, "Hey guys, you get this is just jokes, right? I'm just making jokes."
Yeah.
And before you would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years say that because everyone knew it was jokes. But now people are like, hold on a second, that was a little offensive. Like, dude, you paid for a comedy show. It's gonna be offensive. Like, let it happen.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. I thought Conor was great. It was completely racist. I want him to do more of it. I love it. I think it was great. I want him to do more of it because it really, really did. You saw Floyd kind of get the backpack. Like he almost was stuck. He was like, damn it, get the backpack.
It's such a playground thing, right? Didn't you do that when you were a kid? You saw someone like, now I'm like your real dad. I'm telling you what to do. It was so funny. It was like just I don't know.
I love it.
Our tactic.
I hate this fight. I'm all in. Damn it. I'm watching tonight too. I'll be listening to you too on your show. Like I'm all in. I'm just stuck. I can't get away from it.
Well, I guess you guys, I don't know. I'm trying to play this role like I don't, because I know the result. You know what it is?
Hold on. Why are you trying to play a role?
Conor. No, it's nothing against Conor. It's I think I remember 3 or 4 times after every Mayweather fight saying, "That's it, never again." It's always the same thing, and I keep falling for it. You know what I mean?
After Pacquiao, we all said it. That's it. Remember watching this fool again. Got me for the next one. Got me.
So frustrating, man. We went to the Robert Guerrero fight, and I just couldn't believe when we were watching it, and people were walking out in the 10th round, and I was so happy to be there because
Floyd fans were walking out in the 10th round. That's what's so weird about it.
It is. His entrances are great. I mean, it was a great atmosphere at the MGM. I was so stoked to be there, but I remember walking out, my head was down. I was like, so, why do I keep feeling this way? I should know better.
Here's my question. So I really do compare Mayweather to GSP quite a bit, and this is for all you guys. GSP when he walked, I firmly believe. I went back and looked at it. I rewatched that fight all the time. I firmly believe that he lost to Johnny Hendricks, and the judges went the other way. But I'm okay with it. That's the bout of record. That's the way it went down. Okay, then. But my opinion is different. Cool. But he wasn't very exciting. But he was a huge pay-per-view draw. He wasn't very exciting, but fans loved him. He wasn't very exciting, but all the fighters respected him when he was competing. How come when we talk about Mayweather, it's a different conversation? He's the same thing. He's not very exciting to watch fight, but you can't hit him. Why?
Because GSP fought the best fighters at the time that they were the best in that era. Floyd Mayweather got a Pacquiao that a lot of people felt if this were 5 years earlier when it should have happened, it would have been a different fight. He got a very young Canelo Alvarez, which now we all feel like if that fight took place again, I still feel like Floyd would win. But I think it'd be a lot closer fight. He did that a lot for his career, and I think a lot of people lost respect because of that.
How can you lose respect on a guy picking his spots? We're having an issue right now with Amanda Nunes because she decided not to fight to save her record. Because if she loses, she goes down to was it 25-25, and she's making like 3 times the amount right now as a champ.
Yeah,
if she loses her belt,
$5,000 from Reebok as opposed to $40,000.
Yeah,
So
and all of a sudden now she's getting you can never be in a main event again. Well, hold on a second. I'm just trying to protect myself. Boxing has protected themselves since the beginning of time. That's what they do. They pad their records. You know, when a guy's 10-0 in boxing, you're kind of like, all right. When a guy's 10-0 in MMA, you're like, wow, this guy has had some fights. Like, he's had some fights.
Yeah. All right, let me jump in here, guys. We got our guests ready to go. It's Tony Ferguson, UFC lightweight, and also part-time Fox Sports commentator. What's going on, Tony? How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
All right, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. We also have Frank Trigg with us and Mike Bohn from USA Today Sports. Pleasure to have you on. Tony, sort this out from us. First of all, do you want the guys that are chasing you, or are you waiting for Conor for this fight to happen and then just go after Conor yourself? Which direction are you leaning towards?
I'm interested towards the interim title belt. That's what I want. I don't care who it is. I mean, obviously we got a couple names that can be thrown into the picture, but I want a decent fight. I could wait around for Conor McNuggets for a whole long time, but we know how that's going to go. Depending on how this Mayweather fight goes, that's a long time to wait. But Khabib, if that dude's ready for this belt and he really wants his ass whipping, we'll handle that. We can handle that within the next couple months and go for the interim title. I mean, I'm not really much for talking right now. I usually do my talking inside the octagon. But you put them up in front of me, I'm going to knock their ass out, straight up.
Mm-hmm. So Khabib would be your number one guy that you would like to fight. once he's ready to return to fighting?
The draw that the Khabib fight and myself would be huge. I mean, this would be awesome. I think the fans have deserved this fight. I think more than deserved it. They've bought their tickets. They've saved the pay-per-view dates. They've bought the pay-per-views. I mean, UFC 209 was kind of a flop because Khabib didn't show up.
Right.
It was kind of a shitty thing. I mean, it was all the fans. Every person I heard, I even showed up into the fight just to show you know, my support for the system. And it was terrible, man. It was fucking terrible. Like, Khabib should be ashamed of himself, and he needs to make that up to all of his fans, especially in Russia.
Here's the thing, man. I felt like the ship sailed when he didn't make weight, and he's still great. He's still undefeated. He's still a top-ranked guy, but I felt at that point you either moved into the Conor McGregor, you know, into those sweepstakes, or because you're saying you want to fight for an interim title, someone else now comes along, a Kevin Lee or an Edson Barbosa that's put in some work, or even Justin Gaethje, who's the latest flavor of the week. But you prefer Khabib even after all that, even after the summer of Lee and Gaethje.
You know, the one thing is Kevin Lee doesn't meet the standards as far as the MMA math doesn't add up for what he's done and what I've done for this. He barely beat Chiesa. His chin is very testable. And Justin Gaethje is a much more gamer opponent than Kevin Lee. I think Gaethje takes Lee in like the first round, honestly. And so if Gaethje wants to get another fight before he wants to go for the interim belt, I mean, go ahead, waste your time. But if you want to sign on the dotted line, we can make that shit happen. I mean, literally, I've seen a bunch of holes in this dude's game. He almost got finished in round one. Without the shit talk, his skills are set, man. He puts a lot of forward pressure like Khabib. That's what I want. I want somebody that's going to test my skills. And so if Conor's going to sit around and wait, and we have to wait fucking forever for this, I don't feel like waiting, man. I'm used to competing from 3 to 6 times a year.
Right.
And I'm not going to, my shelf life is great. You know, I use the metaphor, you know, the juice versus the sauce. You know, I'm not the one that made it up, but and if you believe in that, I mean, how long does juice stay in your fridge? Not very long.
Okay.
But the sauce lasts forever, dude. And my shelf life is great. So I'm here, I'm competing, I'm maintaining weight. I'm throwing jabs at Khabib, and Ali Abdelaziz is saying, we want this fight. We want to make this happen, you know, and we want to see Conor in Russia. And I'm like, dude, you guys can't make the weight. If you can't make it here, what do you think you're going to do in Russia? You're going to miss weight. You're going to disappoint all the fans in your own hometown, and it's going to be no bueno for you. Let's make this shit happen here right now. Let's get somebody that can make weight, that wants to fight, and that has earned the right to fight against me. Because I've put in my time, boys.
Yeah. All right. Tony Ferguson joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. And so Dana White has talked about Khabib coming back in the fall, him coming to the Performance Institute, and working with dietitians, nutritionists, and making sure that the weight is on point. But what's your gut tell you, man? I mean, can this guy do it? It's not like he came within a hair of doing it. I mean, you know, he wasn't really close, and, you know, there was some health issues. So, like, do you put confidence into doing a whole training camp and being ready, and hopefully Khabib being there and being ready for you?
I think he can. He's got to switch some shit up, man. I mean, obviously his team is shitty for him. They don't look after his own health. They're not looking after his diet. I mean, I'm part of Black House MMA right now, and they're doing some crazy stuff right now, which I love. They got the Under Armour facility that they partner up with, Fast Twitch, and just the whole entire squad is great. You know, if somebody's overweight, they're going to make sure that your meal prep is great. They're going to make sure that your diet is good. They're going to ask you these questions. You know, I think people that have a padded record have it easy because everybody wants to cater to that perfection. Well, shit, man. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. And Khabib, man, is fucking lazy. If I can get up to 205 pounds and lose the weight at a consistent way, I mean, I've been grappling for how long? Long time. I've never really missed weight. I've never missed weight in my profession. But there is a right and a wrong way to do it, and I think the old school ways that they're doing it needs to be upgraded. I think wholeheartedly the Performance Institute is a good idea, but if he wants to wait till fall to do that, I think you're preparing for failure. You need to get your ass there now. You need to be doing your preseason at the spot, getting your notes, making sure you know what to eat, choose right and wrong, learn how to count some calories, and actually give a shit about your weight. You know, I understand he doesn't need money to fight and all this other things, then retire. Fucking go away, man. If you want to fight at 170, you want to make it a super fight, well, if the money's right, let's handle that.
UFC lightweight Tony Ferguson, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes, what do you have for Tony?
Tony, all these names that are getting thrown around, Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor, Khabib, Nurmagomedov, do you feel like no matter what, eventually in your career, you're going to see all four of them just in some different order?
Absolutely. I've said that since the press conference where Pettis even had the belt. And Khabib wanted to chime in about, like, I'll see you soon. I'm like, motherfucker, you better get in line, because your ass is next. I mean, I've been picking them off one by one by one, and I enjoy it. If they piss me off, they have to go through a long, bloody war with me. And if they're nice, you know what, they're chill. They get to walk away with all their limbs.
You know, we are all seeing what Conor McGregor's doing now, and he's got a big paycheck waiting for him. Is there even a small percentage, a small part of you that thinks this guy may not even come back?
Well, they need to strip him of the belt. They need to defend or vacate. All the things that Dana has been saying, that you need to stay active in the UFC, you need to compete. And this is going against everything that he's been saying. So you need to strip Conor of the belt. You're putting the lightweight division on stall. Honestly, there's so much talent in this division that needs to be tested. Win or lose, I can walk away from the table happy knowing that I gave it my all. But at least I'm going to try. Conor's not trying to defend the belt. He's not trying to do anything else with the belt. He wants to go on to other ventures. That's fine. Strip him of the belt. Defend or vacate it. I always said it. If he doesn't want the belt, give it to somebody that wants to earn it. You know, I'm not saying give it to me straight out, but if you want to fight for it and you want to scrap, let's do this. I saw him at the press conference. It was dope. I just got done with Black House Muay Thai with Paloma, and I was pretty tired. I was all sweaty and stuff. I get to the press conference, and it was dope. You had lights, camera, action. Everything was going on. And then Conor walked on stage, and I was in the spot where I could see Conor, but I wasn't trying to get in his face. I'm like, look, this isn't my limelight. This is chill. I'm here just to support the boxing. I'm a Mayweather fan, personally. I like his style of boxing. Hit and not get hit. So when I'm up there and I see Conor, he looks at me for a split second, and I can tell that motherfucker saw the real ghost. And he looked away so fast, and he couldn't help it but to look at the only dude that was wearing sunglasses in the stands. Not the stands, but in the media row. And I love that because he knows I'm there. I could be a much worse heel if I really wanted to, but like I said, it's not my style. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be Conor. I'm not going to reach out, try to grab the mic. I'm not going to do that kind of thing. But what I do have to say is you need to defend or vacate. And Dana White, from what he says, he needs to strip Conor of the belt. He hasn't defended the belt. He doesn't want to defend the belt. Let's have either King Khabib and I fight for this shit, or Justin Gaethje or Eddie Alvarez. Literally, I'm not trying to go backwards. I'm really not trying to go backwards with this shit. I beat everybody in this division. Once I beat these last two, I got 2 more spots for my gloves right here to collect. That's Team Khabib, and that's Notorious.
I'm gonna go.
If Nuggets wants to get it in, you can do that too.
I'm gonna go old school real fast. As Tony was saying that, I was picturing Rocky Balboa in Part 3 when Clubber Lang was kind of in the crowd, you know, and all of a sudden he was like, "Who's that dude?" But anyway, we're short on time. Frank Trigg, Mike Bohn, also co-hosting the episode with us. Trigg, what do you have for Tony Ferguson?
I just got to ask you, like you just said, obviously Conor's got to defend or vacate, but you came out of the box with, "Hey, I want to fight for the interim title. I want to fight for the interim title." I have an opinion on the interim title. I think they're stupid. I think there's no reason to have them if you either have a champ at the weight class or you don't. What's your actual opinion on the interim title? Does it really matter if they never give the interim title, but you're still the #1 guy behind Conor, and Conor's going to come back and defend the belt whenever he does? Does it really matter that whether you have an interim title belt on your waist, or does the big belt, the unification belt, is the only one that really counts?
Those belts are really great. I mean, honestly, the interim belt, if it's real enough, I can see it and I can touch it, that's real enough for me, Trigg.
Okay.
I mean, if I earned it and I've deserved it, fuck yeah, it's real. It can be put up right where my Ultimate Fighter trophy's at, and I can look at that and then say, you know what, I want to combine it with the real one. I want to earn that right to do this. This is almost like districts, regionals, and state. This is that one part where like an interim belt is almost like the state, but then you have to want to go to nationals or worlds. That's how I see this. I mean, the interim belt is really, I'm not going to say it's a paperweight because I've been fighting for this organization for a long time. I've been bleeding for this organization for a long time, along others. I believe that, honestly, the interim belt has been passed around so long, I don't like the fact that it's an interim belt. But do I want to earn that right? Yes. Fuck yeah, I want to have that belt. This is what I've been fighting for. If Conor doesn't relinquish the belt, then yes, we have to have people that want to have the belt. And then if he does decide to come back, he's like, okay, now we have a game of opponent. Now you have to defend your belt. Let's work for this. The lightweight division used to be the Shark Tank, man, and Conor put a stink on that bitch. And I'm trying to be the fresh breath of air by being me. And that's it. The best thing I can do is be me.
Mike Bohn from USA Today Sports. What do you have for Tony?
Tony, you're talking about the interim title. How much of the desire to have a fight for that too is financial? I mean, I assume if you are fighting a title fight, you get different compensation, you get more money on the Reebok tiers. How much does that go into it?
You know what the biggest thing is? I don't try to let that get a hold of my mental game. Right. I really don't. Once I said I started to fight for money, I'm going to lose this thing. I mean, really, you start to fight for the wrong thing. You look at Johnny Hendricks. I hate to say that, but and some other fighters. You know, my wife works. I have great sponsors. My management's decent. Honestly, I got a good head on my shoulders, and I'm being a great father. You know, camps pose a huge burden on your mental, and not only that, but your financial. So the last fight that I had with Khabib, I took a little bit of a hit when the UFC, they were like, okay, Khabib is out. We want you to fight Michael Johnson. We're not going to give you your show money, your full show money. I'm like, what? Why is it called show money? You're not going to get your full show money, but you have the opportunity to earn up to that amount by beating Michael Johnson and performance of the night bonuses. That's what was told to me. I had to earn my show money. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So for the first time in my life, I had to actually step up and have a backbone and say no, because it was just unfair. And you guys know me above anybody else. I do not turn down fights. I would love to have kicked Michael Johnson's ass, but the financial part was not right. So what I'm trying to say is, look, man, we earn our right to be here. We earn our checks at the end of the day. So for me, myself, and my family, I'm going to keep fighting and doing what I have to do to support my family, regardless if it's inside or outside of the octagon.
And just real quick, too, you posted, I think your last post on Instagram or something like that was like a direct message conversation with Kevin Lee. Can you give us the backstory of what is going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm at T-Mobile Arena. There's absolutely nobody around, man. It was quiet. Nobody was saying shit. I beeline straight for Kevin Lee. And you guys read already what was in the post. I mean, there's not much to be said after that. I'm right in your face. You don't say shit. And then you want to DM me a couple days later? What a pussy. What a straight... I mean, literally, it's all for show. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, be a fresh breath of air. Everybody's trying to do this Conor thing. They're saying the same thing that he said last summer. I understand if you want to dress up, that's perfect, that's cool. But don't forget who you really are, man. Just be yourself. People will buy into who you really are, not what you're trying to be.
All right, folks, there you have it. Tony Ferguson, spin some venom. Follow him on Twitter at TonyFergusonXT. Tony, I hope this thing shakes out the way you want. You definitely have put yourself in that position. And, of course, we thank you, as always, for your time on MMA Junkie Radio.
Always.
All right, we'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take our last break. Then we'll come back and say our goodbyes, close up shop. Any last comments, social media, blah, blah, blah. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Mike Bohn, Frank Trigg in the house. All right, folks, there you have it. Another MMA Junkie Radio show in the books. I think we're at show number, what does it go? It's like 2484?
Yeah, I think it was.
As we continue through our quest to 2,500 on July 28th. There might be more news on that soon. Want to thank Mike Bohn. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Bohn MMA. Thanks, Mike, for doing the show.
No problem.
Frank Trigg, really enjoyed having you as well. At Frank Trigg, thanks for doing it. Thanks for hollering at us, because it's fun to get you in here every couple months. So when you come back, please know that seat is yours.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes I'm in like 2-3 weeks in a row, but just because of just how it works out. And I know I'm not going to get on every time because you guys are always busy. But
we'll run it,
as soon as
man.
I know,
we'll make room.
I'll make it happen.
Thanks to Greg Savage for hooking up the Carlos Silva interview, and of course I got to thank myself for hooking up the Tony Ferguson interview. Great job, Danny, producing back east. Goes, you knocked it out of the park. You two were great. I took it to another level. It was fantastic. We're out of here, folks. Go out there and be champions.
Viva